Specifically, what does protect mean? How would you protect?
Well, an example would just simply be that, school choice options are protected, or parents have the right to decide how their kids are educated.
Under the Constitution?
Yeah.
So, constitutional amendment.
That's a possibility. That would be one way to do it.
It's more than a possibility. That was a clip from my conversation with Republican Senate President Warren Peterson at the start of the legislative session in January. Peterson revealed at the time that Republicans were considering an amendment to the Arizona Constitution that would protect school choice. So here we are now near the end of the session, and enshrining private school vouchers in the Constitution appears to be Republicans' price for agreeing to support raises for public school teachers. Beth Lewis, director of Save Our Schools Arizona, has been briefed on the status of school funding discussions at the Capitol, and she joins us now. Welcome back to Square Off.
Thanks for having me.
I want to kind of go back to the beginning of Save Our Schools. For folks who might not remember, how did you get started?
Yeah, so in 2017, they were trying to force through universal vouchers in the legislature, and moms, teachers, community members were going down to the Capitol and kind of saw all the special interests, and we saw it be forced through by the Republicans and Governor Ducey, and we said, we're going to put this on the ballot. And so we collected signatures, put it on the ballot for voters to weigh in 2018, and they overwhelmingly rejected universal vouchers by a 2-to-1 margin.
2-to-1 margin. It was a remarkable accomplishment just in terms of getting this all together in a hurry in the summer heat. That was quite an achievement at the time. So here we are, and universal expansion has gone through, and now Republicans want to get a constitutional amendment to protect school vouchers. What's your response?
Yeah, so we're seeing Republicans down at the Capitol are being incredibly reckless with this. They are trying to hold teacher pay hostage, the 123 negotiations hostage, by attempting to enshrine vouchers into the state constitution. We know that vouchers are incredibly unpopular, so it makes sense that they would try to tie it to something that is deeply popular, like teacher pay. And I think Arizona voters are able to see these kinds of shenanigans for what they are. I also want to point out that it's not constitutional. It is unlawful to try and force both measures into the same constitutional amendment.
And to be clear, this went public late in the week. There's still a lot we don't know about the language, about how this would be put together, about some very specific details. Still a lot to learn in the coming week, and we're going to stay on top of it. I do want to put up now a quote from State Representative Matt Gress, who actually told me here back in March that a constitutional amendment was on the table. Here's what he told Howard Fisher of Capital Media Services. Quote, "You've seen repeated assaults, particularly by Governor Hobbs, in trying to eradicate one of the school choice options that we have. She's not going to give up until she has ripped out school choice by root and branch. And I think that worries a lot of Arizona families." And that one school choice option he was referring to as vouchers. But Matt Gress isn't wrong, is he? Governor Hobbs has targeted school vouchers.
No, I think that the governor and Arizona Democrats are looking to provide common sense guardrails for the program. And so what Arizona Republicans, who are beholden to special interests in D.C., are coming in and trying to enshrine this in the Constitution, ostensibly binding the hands of future legislatures from ever implementing any sort of guardrails. And we already know that the ESA voucher program is rife with fraud, waste, and abuse. We know it's costing $1 billion, and that's only growing. We know it's bankrupting our state. So enshrining that in the Constitution is incredibly dangerous. And the Republicans know that, and that's why they're trying to hijack Prop 123 to include, their pet project into something that Arizona voters truly want. And as a reminder, that is unconstitutional to put those two provisions into the same package to put in front of voters. And if they do attempt to do that, we will see them in court. Something
we'll be watching in the language. I also have to point out facts on the ground. So much has changed since charter schools came to pass in the early 2000s, I think late 90s here in Arizona. Facts on the ground now, students in charter and private schools and parochial schools or homeschooled make up about 1/4 of the school population in Arizona. That's a pretty significant group, isn't it?
Yeah, and we know that none of this has to do with charter schools, right? Charter schools are in existence. They're not funded by vouchers. They are trying to enshrine vouchers into the Constitution, and they may claim that it's school choice, but we understand what they're trying to do, which is to make sure that vouchers can never be amended. They can never have guardrails. They can never have any sort of oversight. And so, you know, we obviously oppose that, and Arizona voters oppose that. They've already rejected universal vouchers, and the Republicans at the Capitol are completely out of touch. And I think that they're going to tank Prop 123, which is a really important source of funding for our public schools, as well as teacher pay, in order to try and, you know, do this overreach on vouchers. And so it shows that they don't care about Arizona students whatsoever.
Let's talk about the bargaining. This bargaining is all about the need to renew Prop 123 at the ballot. The voter-approved measure funnels about $350 million a year to Arizona schools. It expires at the end of the year, and it must be renewed by voters, and that could happen this year, next year. There is some wiggle room in the renewal. Republicans say they will support, it appears, just $4,000 raises for teachers. Again, bill language unclear, but that's where things sort of stand. What do you want to see in Prop 123?
Right. I mean, it's good to point out that they're not raises. It's a really persnickety bonus that's dependent on performance. It really could, you know, it doesn't include staff. It is very prescriptive and actually punitive towards teachers. So their package is flawed, deeply flawed. And I think Arizona voters want to continue Prop 123. They do want to pay teachers. They just don't want to have all of these poison pills packed into these measures. And Republicans quite simply don't care. They have shut people out of these negotiations. They are not listening to educators. They are not listening to parents. They are only doing what the special interests who push vouchers are pushing them to do.
And I want to end with the political calculation. Putting this on the ballot in 2026, Prop 123, alongside enshrining school vouchers in the Constitution. Let's just assume for a moment they're two separate things. How do you think either one would fare?
I would love to see them be two separate things. I actually challenge Arizona Republicans to put these measures on the ballot separately. That would be constitutional, but it would also allow voters to say, yes, we want to have teacher pay. We want to keep Prop 123 dollars going to classrooms. And no, we don't want to enshrine a permanent voucher program that is bankrupting our state. The Arizona Constitution says voters should be able to weigh in on those separately, and we need to make sure that that happens.
And can we expect to hear more this coming week on Monday? Will it be?
Yes, there will be a press conference at the Capitol on Monday. We should see this bill on Tuesday, probably minutes before the floor session in the Senate. Just as a reminder, the Senate bill is being pushed by J.D. Mesnard, who is an employee of the Alliance Defending Freedom, which is pushing vouchers across the country. And so this, you know, obviously could be a conflict of interest.
Okay, well, we hope to have J.D. Mesnard on the program to discuss that as well.
Okay.
Beth Lewis of Save Our Schools Arizona, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
When we come back,